Hello in TV land, it's your boy Freelancer Joe, ready to once again get crackin'. Ho, 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 ho. Are you in for a treat today? Is it vindication? Well, no. Well, vindication would imply that I was right and someone else was wrong. And no, I was wrong. Totally wrong, completely wrong. Well, but then again, I pretty much already acknowledged that I was in the wrong, so we can't say that. Recrimination? Nah, again, recrimination would imply that I can blame somebody else. And again, it's my fault. I mean, I could blame myself, but I already blame myself, so recrimination isn't something new and special. Well, now that I say that, what you are in store for probably isn't that special either, because you will see success. And you always see success. Well, not always, but you will eventually see success if you watch Freelancer Joe. I hope somebody's watching this. I'm pretty certain somebody is. And I'm sure eventually in the future, historians, when researching great men of the past, when they're done with George Washington and Da Vinci and the other Alexander the Great, other great men like that, and then when they're kind of scraping down the bottom of the barrel, they'll find me and my YouTube videos or my online videos. In case it's not just on YouTube, I am considering creating a secondary source for these videos, just in case. YouTube, social media platforms in general seem to be getting quite, how shall I put it? Not picky, not selective either, not necessarily arbitrary. No, they're striking like lightning bolts, very targeted lightning bolts on certain things that they just don't want to show anymore or share anymore. Anyway, I don't think I crossed that line just yet, but well, the channel about success, that might make people feel bad, and so that might mean I have to get the axe eventually. But it's not like I don't keep copy of these videos. Anyway, how y'all doing today? Doing good? Doing fine? Well, I'll go into that while I'm setting things up. So let me minimum win escape. One of these days, you know what's going to happen. I'll tell you what'll happen. I'll figure out how to get that working right, and then there'll be an upgrade, and I won't have to do it anymore. That's exactly what'll happen. And while it's making up its mind, I will share with you this week's flavor, passion fruit. Yes, a perfect drink for a man who brims with passion. Not the fruit part. Fruit wouldn't really describe me. I mean, yeah. Did it make up its mind? Did it just not do anything? Oh, and I need to apologize. Thank you for bearing with the intense focus I displayed yesterday at the end of the episode when I moved myself off camera, or not. I was still technically on camera, but you couldn't see what the camera was showing because I was so absorbed in the problem, the issue of figuring out what was going on. I think I'll go ahead and start up my website, just because I know eventually I'll get there. As usual, I have kind of the basic outline of how I'm going to approach things, but not completely fleshed out, so winging it. I hope your life isn't winging it today, or maybe you're the type of person who has such a charmed life that you can winga things like that. Man, winging life. I don't think I've ever met anybody that can do that. But then again, maybe they're up high, soaring, and, you know, they can't look down on me. Nah. I suspect no matter how good some people are, every now and then, if they don't plan things, they come crashing down. Come on, come on. It shouldn't be that difficult to move things around. But I'm hoping that if you are winging it, that things are going well for you. Going great. Boy, it's really slow right now. I wonder what background process is running. Weather today, gorgeous. Another beautiful fall day. Clear blue skies. Leaves starting to turn. Bordering on, I'm not going to say cold, but it's pleasantly cool. And actually, tonight we might even get down into the 40s, 30s in the suburbs. And that is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Not that as I've gotten older, I've come to the realization it's not so much I really, really like cold weather, but I do enjoy that blast of cool air. It's actually, I just really, really dislike muggy days. Just cannot stand muggy days. So, you know, hot and dry is fine, cold and dry is fine, cold and rainy is fine, but hot and muggy, I mean, unless there's a really good breeze going, but then if there's a good breeze going, I don't think it's described as muggy, you know? You know? You know what? Speaking of, you know, I really shouldn't have, shrunk the window. That's the word. Freelancer Joe will be using words today. Will it be using the right words? Will he be using them in the correct sentences? No, clearly not. Will he be using them in the correct order? Will he be using them correctly? Will he be pronouncing them correctly? Pretty certain I have not on all counts. So I doubt going forward that will be the case. Oh, no. I'm pretty certain going forward that will be the case. This is why I do these videos, so I can practice the speaking. The speaking. Important. Be it. Okay. I shouldn't have done that because now I can't remember what my password is. Alright. So as you can see, I have started up the website. And, alright. We're going to open up the gateway, and we're going to open up the Lambda. So Freelancer Joe did do some investigating while the camera was not rolling, like he said he would, and did come up with what I believe to be the solution, so maybe I shouldn't have promised success. And, yeah, it definitely would not have been able to fit it within a 30-minute video. Actually, probably like a 25-minute video because I spent so much time blabbing. But it only took like 45 minutes, so not to toot my own horn. Not that there's anything wrong with tooting your own horn. And I do like tooting my own horn. Alright, alright, alright. Oh, you know what? I need two. No, I don't think I need two of these. Okay, so we'll load up the Lambda function. And, you know, we'll run it again to show what the particular problem is. Alright, copy that. Yep. Ooh. I hope you all have good plans for the weekend. I consider Friday the weekend, starting point of the weekend. Because, I mean, not that I don't do work on Fridays, but I don't do hard work on Fridays. That's the worst. Because you saw how engrossed I got into a problem, right? I mean, can you imagine, like at the end of Friday, at the end of the workday, you know, and you get stumped with something like this? That would be a perfect way to ruin the weekend, you know? Let me move myself out of here. Alright. Run the test. And So recounting the problem is that the response body after the transformation, I really should have. Go ahead and open that. It's probably easier to show than to tell. Important filmmaker lesson. Don't tell, show. Right. Contact form proxy. Okay. Post. Alright, so this is. Thank you. This is my endpoint. When my UI sends a request, it goes to this endpoint, and this is where it gets processed by the method, by the endpoint. This is the method request going in. This is the integration into the Lambda. So we have a Lambda proxy sitting in front of it. This is the actual Lambda. The response, which is integrated between the Lambda and the endpoint, and then the response that gets spit back out to the client, which is my website. Now, when I run this test with the missing fields, the problem is, and we see here, okay, this is the response before the transformation, which has body, headers, status code. That is basically, that's what the Lambda sends back, and that is what is happening here. Now, when it goes into the method response thing, it gets transformed before it gets spit back out to the client. But the issue is, after the transformation, the body is just a string value. So what I had been working on the past 2 days was assuming that I would specify a model which would tell the transformation, which would dictate how the transformation occurs. But what was really throwing me off was the fact that I hadn't had to do this before, and it all seemed to work before. So it was very confusing, especially because I didn't recall seeing any notification from Amazon that they changed anything, and it turns out they didn't. Freelancer Joe did. And you're probably saying, but Freelancer Joe, I remember when I was intently watching all of your Lambda episodes that everything was working fine and that, you had tests and everything and it was all good. And that is correct. I did have tests, but they only happened up to this point. The tests were up directly on Lambda. I didn't do a full end-to-end test from the client through the through the gateway endpoint and up and back. On all those episodes, I was just running the tests from the Lambda management console here. And if I had actually run my website and tested it, I would have seen that the error message all the way back in, I guess it was August or September when I was working on the Lambdas. But then you'll say, but Freelancer Joe, before that, you did have it integrated and it was working fine. And then I would say, once again, you are correct. You're great. That's why you people are awesome. When I was working on the Lambdas, I had come up with this basic structure or flow that I wanted all my Lambdas to follow. And that included changing my email Lambda. And so that's what actually caused the problem. This particular part right here. Let me see if I can compare it to one of my other Lambdas. I wouldn't see it in the other Lambdas because the email Lambda is the only one that is integrated with an endpoint. All these other Lambdas, if I put an endpoint in front of them, they would probably, I say probably because I'm not entirely sure. That's what I'm looking at right now. Yes, they would do the exact same thing. They would do the exact same thing. Okay. But I never noticed it because, again, I didn't have any gateway endpoints in front of them, and I never accessed them through an endpoint. Suppose that means I have to go back and change all of them. Well, hey, That means I have content for another episode. Great. Alright, so what's happening here? Alright. So this gateway integration, so that whole model thing I was doing, I didn't need to do. The gateway integration is basically going to look for, and what it gets back, it's going to look for a body, and it's going to look for headers, and it's going to look for a status code, and it's automatically going to plug those things into the response headers. The headers goes into the response headers. Let me see. Status code is automatically going to be mapped to the status, right? And body automatically gets whatever is in the body. The response from the Lambda is going to be stuffed into the body of the response that the gateway sends out. Which basically means it's just taking this missing field string, and shoving it back out. What I really wanted was to message return a JSON object stringified. I think. Possibly. Alright. So let's test this. This tests locally. Not locally, but just on the Lambda. So this is the response. So now, in theory, it's going to take this string, and this is what it's going to have in the response body. Should I stringify it? Yeah, I think I should. And now if I run it again, response body after transformation, there we go. We have a JSON object. Of course, that's just the missing fields thing, and that really shouldn't even be tripped by the UI, because the UI actually checks for missing fields before it even sends it. So invoke service callback, invoke service, send response. There we go. So the same thing will happen here. We need to stringify this JSON object. I think that's kind of redundant, actually. I forget, what does JSON? I know the J stands for JavaScript. I assume N stands for notation. Or JS is probably JavaScript, so JavaScript object notation is my guess. JavaScript object notation. I can't really take credit for it. I mean, they're the ones that named it. Alright, so that will return JSON. Yeah, so just say JSON, don't say JSON object, because that's redundant. Alright. Save it. Test it again. That was a missing field, so that's fine. Email test. Make sure the success. Contact email sent. Alright. And I think I changed this. I don't remember if I did or didn't, but let's go ahead and deploy it again, because if you muck around with an endpoint and change something, you definitely need to redeploy it. So that's deployed. Now, alright. I suspect this still will actually cause an error, but what I'm more interested in is whether or not I actually get back that JSON. I was going to say object again, the JSON that I'm expecting. It occurs to me that I said a lot about showing and not telling, but I did a lot of telling, didn't I? Telling.com. We subject. As it turns out, Gmail did not mark all the messages I sent yesterday as spam, which is good. Although I suppose it's also because I star them as important and read them before I delete them. Submit. Alright. Did not have expected property. That's actually fine. I'm more curious about whether or not I got a response. Message. Contact email sent. Yes. That's perfect. Success. But we want it to be complete success. We want a green bar. So this is what I changed before. Before I was looking for message, and then I thought it was supposed to be body, but it's supposed to be messages that I wasn't sending JSON with a message property. All right. Yeah. Do I have laurels handy? Because I'm going to be resting on them for the rest of this weekend. What? All right, what are laurels? It sounds Greek. I think it's Greek. It could be Roman. Maybe Roman. It seems like something the Romans would do. I'm definitely looking it up. I have to look it up. Laurels. Any number of shrubs. Really? You can rest on that? I don't know if I'd rest on laurels. Lots of other things I'd rest on. Alright. What we're hoping for is the green bar for success. .com herpy derp, and the message shall be derpin d herp. Now it looks slow here, and it's actually not that slow under normal circumstances. It's because I'm running this inside my VirtualBox. I got the console going, and I got this web camera going. The whole point. Well, you know what? I know it's gonna. Let's see if we get the green bar. Do you feel lucky? I feel lucky. No, it's not luck. It's skill. That's right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Success. I promised you success, didn't I? I promise and I deliver. Freelancer Joe always keeps his promises. Awesome. Of course, it does mean that, technically speaking, I should update all the other ones too. And technically speaking, okay, let's go ahead and, oh, you know what? What I also want to do is I keep I keep the Lambda code maintained in a Git repository, so I also should, oh, but it didn't open .git. No, it did open .git. Folder. I want you. Okay. So I maintain the Lambda code in a separate repository just in case. Not that I don't trust Amazon, because clearly, they haven't messed me up yet. Shame. And see, that's important. Why you should always consider whether or not you're actually wrong. Because you think about it. If I automatically blamed Amazon that this stuff wasn't working, right? I'd contact tech support. I'd blah, 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 blah. Then they look at my stuff and say, no, you messed up. And I look the fool. And they think I look the fool. And I'd waste my time and I'd waste their time. So when things go wrong, the first thing you need to ask is, did I mess up? But of course, you still should be willing to consider the possibility that somebody else messed up too. But you have to honestly, if your first reaction is to blame somebody else, you want to switch that around. Similarly, if your first reaction is to blame yourself, you probably want to switch that around too, because you might have low self-esteem. You need to consider. I said, yeah. Actually, the thing is not to blame. The thing is to consider first, objectively. Okay, did I change something? Did somebody else change something? Blah, 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 blah. Of course, since it was so long since I did this stuff, and because I didn't properly test end to end. All right, so did I even have the comments in here? No, I don't have the comments. Okay, so that was contact email. So there we basically, not basically, exactly. Instead of passing in just a string, we passed in JSON. Actual honest-to-goodness JSON. And instead of that, yep. There we go. There we go. And message. All right. Helps if you do that first, Joe. All right. And we're going to go ahead and commit that first. Obviously, the other stuff still isn't changed yet, but we are getting close to the 30-minute mark, and I am not about to dig into anything else. CDA status commit-am fixed response for gateway integration. Git push. Like I was saying, yeah, we're almost at the 30-minute mark, and I'm not about to undertake anything else and risk the chance of me resting on my laurels. I should come up with something else better to rest on, because looking at laurels, I clearly don't want to rest on that. But anyway, yeah, I am going to wrap things up for now. Success. I'd crack open a cold one, except I already cracked open a cold one. And Drinks with Joe isn't until Saturday. And I wouldn't crack open another cold one for Drinks with Joe anyway. I don't remember the last time I had a beer. It was a couple of years ago. It was either some Belgian beer that my brother got me, or it was some some homebrewed IPA stuff some coworkers made, I think. Beer would be pretty good right about now, but it's not right now. It's not Drinks with Joe, so I guess I'll skip it. Anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me and bearing with me as I struggle to find success, but I have delivered success. Cool kid words about liking and subscribing the video in the comment box below, and comments and suggestions in the boxes below the video, and liking and subscribing if you are so inclined to. I hope you will join me tomorrow for a session of Gaming with Joe, and I will take you to the haunted forest. Ooh. But in the meantime, take care and God bless.